About 6 months ago, I set out to make a realistic style horror game with my friend about surviving the night and finding tools and, well, avoiding a greater threat until you can get out. Though we have one major problem. Our code sucks. After we restarted, we got some basic movement and our interaction system back. And like I said in our last video, a lot of the scripts survived. That was the problem we had. All those had to be set up again. Though when it came down to doing just that, they were way too confusing. And on top of that, as someone said in our last video, they sucked. And well, maybe because I was butthurt or I subconsciously knew the issue, I gave a generic response like, I want to get the mechanics done ASAP and I'll refactor later. This comment still got me thinking that our code does suck. And while I have a billion different excuses, the main point still stands. It sucks. A few days later, with the question still lingering in my mind, why would I rewrite the code later? Yes, the game would be out sooner, but instead of fixing bugs after release, we would be fixing our own code, which in the long run would lead to more bugs that we would have to work out after fixing all the scripts. So maybe it was a blessing that the project restarted, because now we can go out of our way to fix them. And we obviously still want to keep the same mechanics as before the restart, so we will have to go about writing them in another, more efficient way. So let's go over our current problems that are stopping us from using these scripts. First off, we have a parent-child script problem. What I mean by this is that when we made a script with, say, some functionality, and then we needed a script to use that functionality, we would simply make a child script with a function, and call that function in the parent script when needed. This made our code unnecessarily cluttered, as wanting to add more children would cause the parent script to be packed with unnecessary code, making telling what's going on very confusing, and even missing a single reference breaks the entire script. To put it simply, if you handle everything for your child, the parent can become overburdened, and the child won't be able to handle anything on their own. We fix this by simply reversing the relationship. Now, the parent helps the child to understand what is going on, and the child script handles the logic to run that. Now each child separates out its duties that the parent script was handling by themselves, and if one of the child script breaks, the rest still work. Using this concept for our code, it makes a lot of the scripts way more readable, and even makes extending them way faster. Our second issue with our code is they are tightly coupled together. Basically, a lot of the code we have running together can be separated into different functions to run individually. An example of a script having this issue would be a character controller. In this script, player movement is handled in update and is in one huge block of code. Now they don't need to be put together like this, because if we want to update, say, jumping later, we'd have to sort through all this code just to find how to jump. What you can do to fix this problem is decouple the code, and you can do this by separating out the key components like running, jumping, and crouching into their own separate functions, or making a script not rely on other ones but provide info to other ones. It makes the code way cleaner and easier to iterate on. A few topics to dive into that helped us with our problems of decoupling our code were interfaces, abstraction, events, and scriptable objects. These all seem very intimidating when you read them, like, what the hell is an interface? But these topics are not all too complicated to get into. Using these, I spent the next 7 days cleaning up our code with the help of Banana Bread, allowing us to make simple, straight to the point code like our inventory system, where we can add or remove objects or access items in our inventory from external scripts. This allows us to create interaction with things like doors or power breakers if you have tools or keys, and you can easily extend this code to create more dynamic interactions, like manually selecting screws to unscrew if you have, say, a screwdriver. So with this done, we are caught up to before the project restarted, minus the player animations. I do intend on bringing those back, but more towards the end of working on this game, as right now they get in the way of the pure mechanics aspect for gameplay. Though, as for the reason why I even had to restart in the first place, you should watch this video.